Do you know something that I really dig? Obscure, underrated anime. Usually, the most popular shows are those that are filled with long arc stories, narratives that extend itself to 200 plus episodes, with huge battles, epic struggles, and familiar shonen or shoujo-esque plots that can relate easily with almost everyone. However, despite my enjoyment with the bread and butter of what anime has to offer, I'm also fond of anime no one's even heard of, just by the way it looks, how it makes me feel, and the concept it may hold. Nightwalker is one of these shows with a gloomy Japanese urban aesthetics and convoluted characters teamed with a detective type of story and their troubled past lives. Nightwalker is about Shido Tatsuhiko, private detective working on his own agency dedicated to hunting inhuman creatures called Nightbreeds, demons that prey on the dark emotions of humans, bargaining with their desires in exchange of possessing their bodies to eat the flesh of the living. Together with the police agent Yaoi, his young assistant Riho, and the hot-headed imp Guni, they work on paranormal cases involving the Nightbreeds. The Nightwalker anime was released on July 8th of 1998, and it was based on a game that released prior to the TV show in December of 22 of 1993. The show originally was intended to be an OVA, spanning only 4 episodes, but due to some success, it had more 7 episodes to go along with. We'll be talking about the anime only because I don't know what kind of process I would have to go to try to play the game, so let's keep it that way. Also, something that I unintentionally forgot to say, but Shiro is a vampire, and that's kinda important. The whole presentation is an A+ in my own thesis score. The backgrounds drawn are what you define if you search for 90s edgy anime series in your web browser. Everything's shady, green, and mixed with elements of horror. The way the characters dress themselves is pretty diverse either. Ryo's schoolgirl look is not boring nor cliche. Shiro's elegant androgynous appearance is as pleasant as his detective look, and Yaoi is badass. Her looks are astonishing, charming, a perfect fandom in my lesbian taste, to be frank. Dina is good too. There isn't as many imp girl representation in media, so I gotta validate that girl here. Part 2. Speaking of the characters. Actually, it's wrong because it's talking, not speaking. What the fuck? Why did I wrote this? Why? Talking about the characters. Talking about the characters, bitch. Bitch, get your shit together. Consider how terrifyingly strong vampire anime protagonists tend to be. Shiro straight up sucks. He can regenerate, but very slowly from mortal wounds. His only ability is a sword that he can conjure with his blood, which is cool, but kinda basic. But to be fair, that's kinda the point of his character, because Shida rejected his vampiric side due to trauma and has only lived for centuries doing what he can to survive. Riha is a naive but altruistic girl that after episode 1 becomes compelled to be on Shiro's side for saving her life. Yaoi is both a pseudo-love interest for Shiro and supportive character solving the cases. Basically their deal is that Shiro lets her get to the Nightbreed cases and assists her while in exchange she lets him drink partially her blood. Also, Shiro has a nemesis / ex-boyfriend called Kane that keeps stalking him forever, literally, for the sake of trying to change into his ways and see people only as lunch. I'm drinking water now, my throat is hurting. Aside from Riho, the characters themselves don't change that much along the story. Since there isn't a big current event going, it's kind of a slice of life, but with the most horrific themes of sense of loss of self, despair, and fear of the growing darkness that lurks around us and within us. So it's basically a slice of life about being a millennial adult. So if you want to watch an anime with no knowledge of what happens in the story, I would suggest you to stop the video, go watch yourself somewhere in the internet, and then come back here. From here, I'll be talking about some key points in the plot to make my point. So yeah, that's it. You were warned. Through episodes 1 to 4, the story revolves about the increasing number of Nightbreeds attacking people, putting our protagonist to find an explanation for it. Turns out, the Nightbreeds are all gathering in the city because Cain is trying to fulfill a prophecy where the nights will be endless and Nightbreeds and vampires will overtake the world. When I first watched, it was surprising how the story was presented almost like a movie, with the essential parts being told so quickly, the climax being reached in less than 2 hours. And in retrospect, if I had known that the show was meant to be a OVA, that wouldn't have caught me off guard. So, let's do a recap here. Shiro confronts Cain. Shiro kills Cain. Riho is left mortally wounded, oh no, and then taking desperate measures at hand, Shiro bites Riho, changing her to a vampire. Bam! So then, what comes next? Like seriously, what comes next? The story becomes a type of a post-story afterwards, with the characters' lives being more exposed, explaining their behavior by showing us which turning events occurred, making it to who they are in the present of the story. We get to see Shiro's past as aristocratic researcher that, after an invitation from Cain, who was a former colleague back in his human days, decides to visit him only to be transformed into a vampire. Bisexually speaking, Shiro lost his sense of self, and the two lived years devoted to pleasure and murderous banquets, bisexually speaking. Until one day, Shiro attacks a woman that, after tasting her blood, remembered who he is through seeing that it was his wife. Riho goes to a similar identity problem. After she got bit, she realizes that she'll be a young teenager forever, while her friends and parents will grow old, so she decides to leave school and family and only live as part of Shiro's detective agents. It becomes apparent that Nightwalker Detective is a story about losing yourself, becoming something different, about the acceptance of the new identity, and leaving behind everything you were before, not only told by Shiro and Riho, but also through Yaoi. In her past, Yaoi had a twin sister that was just as beautiful as her, but at that time she was recovering from extreme injuries she had due to a severe burn that damaged her whole face. That accident occurred while both sisters were playing with matches, and since then, Yaoi blames her own sister for it, abusing her goodwill of taking care of her, trying to push her affection away, and torment her with guilt for the rest of her life. What any of the sisters didn't know was that what started the fire wasn't them, but a Nightbreed, possessing one of the objects in the house, dooming the sister's life. Another thing was that her Yaoi's scarred face wasn't because of burning. The Nightbreed put a curse on her so he could feed on Yaoi's hatred for Kazumi. In a tragic turn of events, her sister dies, wishing for Yaoi to recover her appearance, and Yaoi realizes that it wasn't her sister's fault for what happened to her, and even if it was, she still loved her. But her jealousy and self-depreciative behavior turned her into a hateful and shallow person. Resentful and grateful for her sister's actions, she decides to live for herself as best as she can, tormented and alone for having her sibling lost, but wanting to compensate for her deeds by living her own life, as her sister always wished for her. The final scene in this episode shows Shiro, while looking at Yaoi, sees her twin sister Kazumi at Yaoi's side, answering to Shiro's call to go, as if Kazumi now accompanied Yaoi as a spirit, cheering for her success and happiness in their afterlife. There's more that could be said about Nightwalker, more that could be argued about. Just to let everyone know, this video essay was supposed to come up last year. I wrote a 9 pages worth of content out of it, but it was kind of overwhelmed me, and truth be told, I was very depressed that last year, and I kind of just wanted to finally do it, finally, put it on. I was punching my own hand right now. But all I wanted was to give reason to look for the show and why it meant so much to me. Nightwalker may not be as terrific as Hellsing or convoluted as Train Blood or any other vampire shows, but it will certainly be a story I will keep in mind when I go through changes in life. Thank you all for watching, and treat yourself well today. I'm gonna fucking drink 2 gallons of water. See you later, skaters.